For those of you out there who, like me, have this fascinating love for VR, I have got some interesting footage to show and explain to you. So here we are using the Oculus Rift DK2 and the Leap motion. The Oculus DK2 obviously being the incredibly famous Oculus Rift, providing the positional tracking and the head orientation tracking for my vision. And the Leap motion providing the optical tracking for my hands, so I can see my hands and fingers to a reasonable degree of accuracy, but as you'll probably see in this footage, it's not entirely perfect. And the demo, or the setup I have currently for this video, I have the feed of my right eye enlarged and stretched on the right hand side of the screen. On the left hand I've got the various webcams I had set up, just to give you a better view from two different angles. Now, I'll start off by talking about just my more VR related than anything aspect, rather than the more Oculus side of things first. So if you look below me, I mean you can't, but you may have noticed that I'm standing on a red cylinder, a little red platform. And the problem I had when I was building this demo, because this is just me experimenting around, this is just a collection of my experiments in Unity. The problem I had was that if I want to use my hands for things, I can't afford to be holding a controller or typing at a desk. So how do I move around in VR without limiting my hands whilst keeping my hands free? And the solution I came up with was inspired by some videos I saw a while ago, basically where you have a cylinder or a platform below you, and when you step off the platform, you move in the direction that you've stepped off. And by stepping away from it further and further, the further you are, the faster you'll move. So that means you don't have to move around on a one-to-one scale. Say if I wanted to walk to the end of a virtual room, I wouldn't have to walk to the end of my real room. I can just move to the edge of my platform in whatever direction I want to go, and I'll kind of glide in that direction. As for how it feels, well, it works pretty well. I need to improve my system because currently it's a bit of a jittery start. As soon as I'm off the edge, I start moving at a speed. I'd rather factor in some acceleration there. But it works pretty well for being able to navigate. The effective range I have in real life to be able to move around is entirely limited by the Leap motion cord, which is it's similar length to the Oculus cord, but it's just a tiny bit shorter. And even if it wasn't, still, the Oculus cord would limit how far I can move. Really do want a wireless Oculus at some point. So anyway, that's the moving around system explained. Right now you can see that I'm waving my hand and these multicolored balls are appearing in front of me. This is the Leap Motion gesture system at work. Leap Motion has a couple of integrated gesture recognitions. It can recognize swipes to the left and right, which is what I'll be using in this demo. But it can also recognize circles, tapping forwards and tapping downwards. So I'm just using the swipes, and I've got my right hand set up so that my right hand can fire these balls, and my left hand to create this user interface for me. Creating this was perhaps the most interesting thing. And then when I touch those with my hands, I can do I can do two of two things. I can reset the level back to how it was originally without all the myriad of flying spheres and destroyed objects. And I can reset my position as well. Because, of course, having to actually turn on the demo on the PC and then moving to where I want to be in the middle of my room, or at least in the middle of the range allowed by my various cables, means that in the process the positional tracking gets out of range. And maybe if I start the demo with me at my PC turning on the demo, and then step to where I want to be in real life, I'll be stepping off of that platform and will start moving. So it's useful having a graphical user interface in the game that I can touch and moves with me, so that I can reset it when I'm in position. And I don't have to press any buttons, I can do it all entirely with these hands, which is quite nice. And the other various things I've got set up around the area are a few toys that I'll be adding to as I think of new things. But for now it's just these spheres that I can fire, and this cube on this little stand. This stand, I might add, was the first attempt of mine at modelling, which is quite nice. I mean, no, it's not quite nice, but it's quite nice for me to be able to model it. So yeah, that's it. That's pretty much everything that I've managed to work on so far. I've got a movement system that I'm quite happy with, but want to add acceleration to. I've got gestures to reset the level with my hands and to fire balls out of my overhand. And you can distinguish between them as well. You can distinguish between left and right, so the left hand will only ever summon the GUI, and the right hand will only ever fire balls, currently. And interestingly enough, just before I actually end this, there's one last thing I want to say, which is that these actually don't care who touches them in order to activate them. I could press with my hands in order to activate the GUI buttons, or I could fire a circle, a sphere, at the button, and if it actually hits, like that, then it'll reset level for me, which is pretty funny. But there we go, that's my congratulatory fist thing, and that is my video done. So thank you very much for watching. I'll show you the very last feature, Exit Game, which will of course close the application. If you're interested in this kind of VR stuff, you can follow me on Twitter. I'll probably be tweeting about my development, and as I add more features to the game, I'll probably be making a few more videos in the future as well. But you can see the technology is pretty good. I'm excited to see how I can take it, how far I can take it in the future. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all